to the Creans Q&A of life in Kenya. So Kenya is the country we live in. We work across several places, but we live in Nairobi, which is a city of quite a few million people. So here's some questions that I've received. Is it safe to live there? Well, safe is all relevant, but we don't take our security for granted. So we don't go travelling at night if possible. We always travel with our car windows up and the doors locked. We also have security guards at night in the place we live in. Normally we would live in a compound. So a compound is like a big concreted fenced area with wire on top. Always have a guard day and night, and lots of apartments in there. But because of finances, we had to move to a much cheaper place. So we literally live not on the street, but the street is just there. We don't live in a compound. We do have a security guard at night. I tend to think he sleeps most of the time, as most of them do. So we have big metal doors. I'll show you a photo of that. And normally there's a security door on the outside of that, but we don't have one of those. So it's quite interesting. We are the only white people that I've seen in this neighbourhood, although I've seen the one travelling through. Have we ever been robbed? Yes. About 6 years ago, Liz and I, we were living in a compound. They had got security guards on it. They let somebody in, 'cause it's always an inside job, and we and another two families were robbed during the day. And it's not very nice when you have people with balaclavas and pistols and knives and things like that who will threaten to do all sorts of things to you if you don't give them the things that they want. So thankfully that all worked out, but after that we actually stopped Liz going on motorbikes, because she'd catch a motorbike to, it was like a taxi, to where she was volunteering, and we stopped that, and we wouldn't, she could only do certain drivers, was the only one. We just, not any old random person, we would call up just a particular person. She was not allowed to walk around anymore after that. I'm happy to go for a run or walk around during the day, not a problem, but after about 5:30 at night, not going to happen, and people are foolish when they do that. So here's a great question, because people look at the negative all the time. What's the best thing about living in Kenya? Really hard to say, because for us it's our relationship with people that we have built, and I'll talk more about that. It's the people, certainly not the food, but there's some incredible things that you get to do here that you can't get in any other place. So in the mornings I hear the monkeys running around, which is really cool, even though it's built up around here. I'll show you a quick video of that. And yes, you get to see the wildlife, which is really incredible. You know, you drive half an hour and there's giraffes and lions and all sorts of animals. It's pretty cool. The elephants are a bit further away, but you never get over it. You do go, oh, there's another zebra, but it's still, there's this little kid thing inside of you that's really, really, really awesome about that. So, but to get to meet people who have the most challenging lives, but the most incredible attitude, it just really does your heart good. Great question about friends. Do we only have expat friends? Certainly not. Now, what you don't realise is most people only come for maybe 2 years on assignment with a multinational company. So I can kind of understand why they don't build local friends, because they will move on to their next assignment in another country. For us though, we came to live here. We actually thought we'd be here forever and ever, but we'll talk more about that later. But we decided to immerse ourselves into life here. So we shop locally. So downstairs there's like a little duka, a little store that sells fruit and veggies. We'll buy off them. We'll buy the local water from the water purifier guy down there, things like that. And we have a mixture of expat and local friends, but mainly local friends now, because there's not many expats here due to COVID. And even on that, it's very, very small, because everybody's living their own life. So we have a few, but mainly it's Kenyans that we have friendships with, because we're actually here to work and to build a relationship with people, and you can't do that if you just stay in your expat bubble. So here's a good question. What is the money like? Well, with COVID, there's a lot of use of non-cash payment, but I'll show you what it's like. So this is 1,000 shillings. This is equivalent to 10 US dollars. So, because the shilling is the same as the US dollar, I'll use it for that, okay? So that's our largest note, it's 1,000 shilling. Then you have a 500, nice and green. Okay, so it's like a $5 note. You have like a $2 note, it's a 200 shilling. Okay. You have a 100 shilling note, which is $1, and you have 50 shillings. Okay. What does it buy you? Not a lot. So we also have coins. So here is a little 10 shilling coin. And the reason I use shillings is obviously because when the British came and tried to colonise the place, they brought over a whole lot of stuff. And this is a 1 shilling. Now the thing about, and there's also a 5 and a 20 and a 40, is that there's actually not that many coins around. So we have a collection of coins in our little container that we save up, and often I'll have to round things up in stores. Of course, cards. People are using cards now more than ever before. We don't have a Kenyan one, we just have Australia and New Zealand because we do a lot on cash. So, so if Pete is paying for a water tank, for example, he doesn't want to throw out 80 of these. Not throw out, but use those. So we have a great system here called M-Pesa. Pesa means money, so it's mobile money, and you can pay your electricity, all your bills, your internet, you can send money to a friend, you can send money to somebody overseas, you can receive money from overseas through M-Pesa, which is connected to your phone. So it's an app on your phone, all sorts you can do there, it's fantastic. And so when we go overseas, we're like, oh, I can really just do M-Pesa right now. It's just very, very handy. So if we're paying for a project and that money's coming from overseas, we'll get it onto, say, the water tank man. It's 80,000 shillings for a water tank, and so we'll get that money sent from, say, Australia, New Zealand, wherever, to his phone, and he'll have a confirmation number there, we'll have a confirmation number, and that's how a lot of things are done. Even if you go into a cafe, they just have a pay bill number, and then you can just do it on your phone. It's done instantly. You can do it with your groceries. You can do it with anything, really. So the gas, whatever else you need. So that's a really, really good system, but it's still definitely cash-based here. And checkbooks. We use checkbooks incredibly. Not for small things, but for large things, like our staff wages and things like that. Yeah, we still use checkbooks. Last question for today. Will you live in Kenya forever? Well, who really knows what 20 years, what any of us will be doing? But no, not forever, because there's a few things. We have to be careful of retirement ages. There's legal retirement ages here. Physically, can we keep doing what we're doing? Pete messaged me and said, man, this is getting harder and harder to do. So he's working on his fitness. Also, if we can't train a team up to duplicate our work, then maybe we don't have the right to be here. And that's our big, big focus. We also need to be out fundraising because we're the face of Beyond Water. And while it's great to have volunteers and we love people who can go on our behalf raising money for us and bring that on, that's awesome, people still want to hear stories from us and from our team. So we plan to spend time in and out of Kenya and our other countries that we're working in, and then we'll be out for a few months fundraising and come back here. We've got our forever home here set up. It's very cheap. It costs us about $500 a month to have our apartment, which is great. So when we travel, we just lock it up. When we had bigger apartments, we had to get people in and rent it out to Airbnb and things like that. That was a real hassle. So we've gone, nah, let's keep it simple. So we just lock everything up here. And this is where we'll be. People go, oh, will you ever give up that water thing that you're doing? I hate it when they call it that water thing. I always go, oh, you mean Beyond Water that's transformed 100,000 people's lives? Yes, this is what we have devoted our lives to. And there's not a plan B on anything like that. How it looks, who knows, but we plan to go in and out. We've always got to have money for projects, so when we travel, we're certainly not going on holiday, although we might have the day or two that we get to have a good look around, but there needs to be money for the projects. No money, no projects. What's the point of doing things? And so, yeah, that's how we foresee ourselves. And then when we get to the point of everything functioning really well, then we're going to grow it some more. So we're not going to get comfortable on that. So will we be here forever? Who knows, but for the foreseeable future, Kenya is our home, Beyond Water is our lives. Thanks for asking. Bye.